So we were talking before we jumped on.
Yeah,
We decided we were going to save this, right? Which I think it's great knowing that you're here today. But I do want to talk to you about this.
Well, and I'm curious. That's why
Yeah.
I wanted to ask the questions or have you unpack whatever thought you were about to share
Yeah.
on camera. So you said you were talking with your mom about all this, or you were talking about.
We
Go
were
ahead.
talking about it in general. And I wasn't aware you didn't know this because really you should be excited about it. Anyhow.
Was this in the public health
Yeah,
realm or social media? Somewhere I'm not.
yesterday they had a big signing that signed that there's like the whole milk initiative for kids. And basically it was beyond whole milk, but they were talking about how the public should be, consuming more fat in their diet, which I think both of us agree. My whole point was I don't think they furthered the conversation enough. And I agree with what they're saying, and the premise of it is that we
Which
should.
was that?
Well,
What was the premise?
basically, they said that we should be consuming more fat in our diets, and we have been programmed over the past, 30 or 40 years to think that low-fat diets are healthier.
Is this FDA or
This is
Kennedy?
this is Kennedy doing this. RFK came out with this, right? So my point was that's great and all. Okay, you're telling a kid that whole milk is better for you than, skim milk or 2% milk, right? Okay, that's fine, but I think they should have emphasized the point that it's not just the whole milk, but it's the quality of cow that you're getting the milk from. So I think they should have emphasized that it shouldn't be whole milk, but more specifically, grass-fed whole milk. So my mother and I and multiple people on Facebook are having a conversation about this, and one of the comments was, no, they're saying that whole milk in general is better for you than skim milk. And my point is that doesn't make any sense because, if you're consuming, whole milk from a cow that has been shot up with steroids, has high cortisol levels, well, to me, that's drastically different than, consuming skim milk or 2% milk or 1% milk or whatever from, a grass-fed cow that's been, pasture raised essentially. And so to me, it's like if you're consuming garbage, right? It doesn't matter if you're consuming a little bit of garbage or a lot of garbage.
Garbage in,
right?
garbage out.
In, garbage out. So you are like, to me, the guy that's really put me on to a lot of these healthy fats, the conversation about healthy fats. So having you on or talking to us today, I think it makes sense to get your perspective on this.
I appreciate that, and I didn't know this was this is exciting and fun. I didn't know this was a hot topic in pop culture right now or on social media space, and that's exciting. So, let me start with this. I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that. I'm just a guy that's curious and loves this, and so. I've been in multiple camps here. I've been in both camps. So let me say that first and foremost. And I do believe in healthy fats, as we've talked about, right? In one camp, you've got, the whole fats, it's more natural. And you've got other people that are like, oh, less fats are better for you. Let's reduce our caloric intake a different way. And that might mean more processing of the milk or the product or whatever. Then you wonder, okay, well, these pasture-raised, grass-fed cows, or maybe not you, I wondered. Are they eating GMO or bioengineered grass? Chemically altered or engineered grass? And, the short answer is, I don't know. And how do you prove that? I came across a documentary, I think it might have been in Game Changers, it may have been somewhere else, and talking about the rise of Got Milk or Got Beef or any of those campaigns through the 60s up to the 90s and being backed by that industry. It was just a big promotional campaign for that industry to sell you more milk, to sell you more beef. Beef, it's what's for dinner, And I bought into it. A lot of us bought into it. I bought into the skim milk and the almond milk, going through a health craze. And you do some research around the almond farms and how much, they take and tax the land, so to speak. And I offer.
What do you mean by tax the land? You saying how much chemicals are actually in the almond milk?
Yeah, or sometimes how many nutrients or maybe what you're clearing to put these almond trees in.
Okay. Yeah.
becoming more of maybe who I am today, which is more of a naturalist,
Yeah.
I started asking myself some questions and around milk or food, what's best?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, how many animals do you know that drink milk beyond their youth?
I don't. Cats, maybe, right? Doesn't cat drink milk? I mean, we've always seen that. I don't know if that's just maybe
Where do you
on
think that
TV.
comes from?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just saying that's the only animal I can think of. Yeah.
Where does that milk come from?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is the cat drinking a cat's milk from its mom?
Yeah.
Or is it drinking the cow's milk that we gave it in the saucer in the dish that was
Yeah.
put into the storybook?
And that's a good question because like we're just thinking, a cat is a smaller animal, a much smaller animal than a cow. So ingesting the cow's milk, is that
So that's where I'm
worse
going.
okay, go ahead.
So if you look out there in the animal kingdom, and there may be some that I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
Just in my quick, brief search, I didn't find any animals that drank milk or their mother's milk beyond much of their childhood, or their youth, that animal's infancy. And when you look at a human, we drink our mother's milk.
Yeah.
Some of us, some never do. Some of us do or did. And then it stops.
Yeah.
And then we switch over or replace it with milk from another animal. While it was in the process or anyway, long story short, we're drinking milk from another animal that's not our mother.
Yeah.
Not even human.
Yeah.
And it made me wonder, are we supposed to be doing this?
That's a
do
great
we not
thought.
just grow out of it like every other animal?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's some new research and new studies showing that maybe we're not set up we're not engineered to receive milk beyond that period of our life, especially milk from another animal. There could be enzymes in our body that break down and make these, and again, I'm not a nutritionist. My loose understanding is that when our bodies break it down, it can turn it into a protein or something that mimics wheat or gluten and can cause an allergy or trigger. And we wonder why all these kids or people these days have bowel issues, and could it be related to our diet? Could it be related to milk or some other portion of our diet that's been engineered or that's a little off of naturally what we're supposed to, or what our bodies physiologically are set up to? For example, teeth.
Yeah.
I used to be a big hunter, big meat eater. It wasn't a meal if it didn't include meat. At least 3 meals a day included meat. And one of the main reasons, amongst many, that I got off of meat is this. When I started looking at the body and what humans eat, what other animals eat. The deer that I was hunting I thought was more natural, and then I realized it was eating the GMO or bioengineered wheat, soybeans, etc., corn out of the field that was planted there.
Yeah.
Maybe it was eating some acorns or some. I've watched them eat briars and barbs and they're like goats. They'll eat anything. Yet when I harvest and then consume that deer, I'm now eating that bioengineered, that genetically modified soybean, corn, etc., plus all the toxins, any runoff from the farm that the farmer had spilled from his tractors or any other piece of machinery equipment that he was working on over the years into the ground. And it got me thinking, okay, well, what else am I missing here? What else am I missing? And I don't know where this came from. It's not, I read it along the way somewhere, looking at our teeth. If you look at an animal that consumes a ton of meat, what do you typically find in their teeth? With their teeth, the properties.
They're
a lot more like your
aggressive.
incisors. They're pointy,
a lot more violent.
Right. The carnivore's mouth is set up differently than the herbivore. Or the animal that's an omnivore that eats lots of everything. You look at a bear, for example, and bears are mostly omnivores. They'll eat some meat, but they're an opportunistic eater. They'll eat anything, and they've got a lot of molars, and they got just very few up front. Incisors are pointy teeth. So, looking at our body and thinking about bringing it back to milk and these other things, I got wondering, are we supposed to consume this? I don't know. Logically, when I go down that rabbit hole, it seems, though, maybe we're not.
Yeah.
We're not set up for that.
So one of the things I'm thinking about too, and you're like, I'm going down the rabbit hole, and I was thinking about how back in, and you were talking about, you got up to the point of the 90s. So the 80s, obviously it was like got milk, got beef, right? And then in the 90s, it transitioned into, low fat diets. Everybody was really on the low fat diets. That was a big initiative. So I'm wondering, how much money was behind that. So now I'm starting to think,
It does make you wonder.
and again, I think you and I are on the same page on a lot of stuff, especially when you're talking about, when you're eating an animal, you're not just eating them, but you're eating whatever they've consumed as well. So
Their
you're
energy.
absorbing- yeah, especially when you're talking about cortisol, that's a whole other conversation, right? But then I got to thinking, okay, well, is the marketing changing now has the marketing changed against dairy? And the research we're doing, is that research being kind of planted to people like us from, I don't know, maybe the almond milk industry or the soy milk industry, or those people, to get us to challenge, what we've thought was good for us our whole life. And then, because then I think about the amount of osteoporosis we've had, right? And there's a big decline in the consumption, I believe, in milk, or at least the type of milk we've consumed. So, and I think we both agree the whole milk's probably is better for you if you got the right cow, if it's coming from the right cow. Mm-hmm. So to me, is the information and the research we're doing, because we are curious, are they taking advantage of maybe our mindset and marketing to us without us even realize we're being marketed to? And maybe that's coming from the soy milk industry, the almond milk industry. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I totally agree.
And so that's just my curiosity running wild.
Well, our biggest constituents in DC, just 2 hours from here, right, are lobbyists.
Yeah.
People for different industries representing their interests, their corporate interests, to politicians who make the decisions for us.
Yeah.
I say for us because I don't always agree with that, that they are in best decisions for us. And so, I think the short answer is yes.
Yeah.
They probably did take advantage of us, and myself included.
Yeah.
And so what do you do about that? Or with that understanding, where do you go?
You got to keep looking for more information.
More information, or maybe you say, I'm done buying from those sources, and I go to the farmer's market. Maybe I start growing my own food.
Yeah.
Now I know where it's sourced. I know what chemicals went on it. I know the ground that it was in. Even if it's not me, I don't have a green thumb.
Yeah.
Yet maybe it's a neighbor that has a nice garden, and I've got a couple of chickens, and we trade all the time, and now we know where our food's coming from. We know what it is. Half the ingredients you can't read on the back of any package anymore in the grocery store. And on that note, this is not a paid advertisement. I just downloaded, I haven't played with it a whole lot, Buyer app.
Okay.
It's an app called Buyer, BUYR apostrophe Y.
BUYR, Buyer app. Hear that?
BUY apostrophe R. It was crowdsourced and funded by a guy named Ian Carroll, a famous podcaster.
I'm familiar. You told me about
a couple of his guys. They wrote the code on this, and you can basically go into any grocery store, any food store, and see where the food product came from, what the parent company was it family owned, was it corporate owned, was it big corporate, big food industry, or was it locally sourced and family owned and operated. What I've come to find, even before that app, is that a lot of the stuff comes from the same umbrella of parent companies. And when I started cutting all those things out, I started feeling better. And better and better.
Are you talking about cutting out dairy, or the type of dairy?
The things we just talked about. So meat, dairy altogether.
Okay.
I still love cheese, so I will eat some cheese. When I look for dairy, it's oat milk. I used to do almond. It's usually oat milk. I put almond in my smoothie sometimes. The ultra-processed foods, that's a learning process for me. It's an undoing of a big, 40 years of programming, 30-some years of programming. We didn't know what we didn't know. And as a society, I think we're just waking up to the realization that, hey, maybe we were asleep at the wheel for a while on some of these decisions. We just kind of went with the herd. We went with the masses, or we went with whatever was told to us, which wasn't in our best interest. It was in the best interest of that company or that industry. And yet our best interest, our health, is over here. I feel better than I ever have, and I'm 44 years old. And I wonder if I ate like this or treated my body like this as a teenager, or even in my 20s, what would that have looked like?
And I'm sitting here thinking as you're talking, and I think this gets to even a deeper topic, and I don't know that we can hit this today. Maybe we do. But you're talking about, so you remove those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, is there somebody else that may need those things, right, in their body? Mm-hmm. So just because your body doesn't relate well with milk and dairy,
absolutely,
there might be another person who does. And I think that's where the customization of health, really
is limitless.
We really should be getting more specific to the person, because somebody might be, missing a certain ingredient that they need in their body that somebody
chemically
else
deficient in one way or another. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably the way health is going to wind up being. It's going to be specific to the individual and not this big umbrella for everybody. You know?
I think it could, and I think it's leaning that way. Yeah. There are companies out there right now that do that, and they're really expensive.
What companies?
Like an Immuno Labs down in Florida. You can do a blood sample, and they'll test you for all food sensitivities.
Yeah.
Not just your allergies, like the allergist, will go prick your back. And I asked them to test me for my foods recently, and that was not something that they did here. Yeah. So, nor that my insurance covered or covers. And so seeking that out, finding somebody or a company like an Immuno Labs that tests these things and says, hey, you've actually got a sensitivity to eggs. My mom, for example, pork. Mm-hmm. Ate pork all of her life. It did things to her that she didn't realize pork was doing. Yeah. One can also go about this a different way and just experiment with foods and keep a food log and food journal. This is the more inexpensive, maybe organic way that's been done over time by many before. If you want to go do it in one fell swoop and drop, some coin, they can be done like that as well. And then hey, I'm going to stay away from eggs, or I'm going to stay away from pork, because when I do, my body gets inflamed. I get irritable. I get tired. I get achy. Yeah. And that was the big one with me in cortisol is the shoulder and hip pain from years and years of athletics and sports, and even playing soccer competitively up until 36 years old. I still surf, and the intention is to keep this going as long as I can for the kids, for the family, for life in general, and the community, and especially my enjoyment. How do you get the most out of life if I'm handicapping myself just with poisoning my body with food every day, or not just thoughts, food, etc. Am I getting the most out of life?
So these companies that you're talking about, are they telling you what you shouldn't be taking, or are they also telling you what you should be taking?
I don't know the answer to that one. Okay. I think it's at your discretion. You have then an understanding of how your body reacts, and they do have, I do think, some consultants there, but that's something you could take to your nutritionist or to your coach or your physio or whatever you have in your life. Your maybe it's your doctor, a naturopathic doctor, or your traditional physician. Either way, you have some information, right? And knowledge is power. Yeah. And knowing is half the battle.
Yeah, right.
And so,
yeah, Joe, baby.
So with that information.
The only reason I ask that is because, we live in a world where I feel like everybody's allergic to something, right? Or somebody, they're always saying, well, I can't have this or I can't have that. But I never hear, well, what should they be eating? What should I be eating?
Yeah.
Is there an ingredient that my body is missing, me specifically?
Yeah.
And it might be different from you.
I think,
yeah.
Well, I think you might be right. I do think you're right there, that all of our bodies are different.
Yeah.
And well, there's some generalities, right? We're built and set up the same way. We share a lot of the same chromosomes, DNA, et cetera. We're not exactly the same. All fingerprints aren't the same. Every leaf, tree, et cetera, is not the same. So to answer your question, I think it's,
So another thing is I want to ask you too, and I want, we talked about this probably, I don't know, a year ago. It's probably come up many times. But you were talking about cortisol. Mm-hmm. And this was something that was so interesting to me. And you were talking about, I don't think most people think about cortisol as the stress on your own body. Mm-hmm. But you were talking about when you go out and you eat a cow that was, maybe slaughtered or lived in a high stress environment, and they had more cortisol, when you're consuming them, you're actually bringing that stress into your body. Mm-hmm. And that's something I've never heard anybody talk about outside of you, and I think it's like brilliant because you and I both are very energy focused, and you're essentially saying that you're taking in their energy, and if you got somebody in a low cortisol or a cow in a low cortisol environment versus a high cortisol environment, you obviously want to go with the cow that's less stressed, right? Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up or bringing that in, because it was a pivotal point, maybe in my transition from how I ate or what I ate. And so if everything's energy, like if we back up 30,000 foot view, and I understand and get that not everybody believes this. If we're all energy and we are what we eat, whether it's the fruits and vegetables, the meat, dairy, cheese, the air we breathe, the thoughts we consume, then how could we not be the animal or the energy that we ate? And this came about when it was hunting. I'd cut out a lot of unnatural meats. I was working towards being organic at everything. And it was a bow shot. I harvested a small buck, mid-sized buck with a bow, and he didn't die right away. It wasn't a clean shot. And I sat there and witnessed his passing. And, even with prayer and thanks and appreciation for the harvest, there was still a bit of unpacking with what was going on here. And that was, he was stressed out. He was stressed out as he passed. He probably flooded his system with cortisol. And in thinking about that, I got thinking about humane, ethical processing of meat. I've heard that in some circles and where, there's I don't even know what that means, but and I say that because I don't know that that's possible.
Yeah.
Is there a humane way to kill something?
That's what I was.
To harvest a chicken, goat, pig, cow, et cetera, to consume.
How do you kill anything without it being stressed out?
Right.
Yeah.
And even if it's, hey, I'm going to sneak up on it. I've gotten some wild answers when I've questioned this. Like, oh, I'm going to sneak up on it. I'm going to inject it with a needle. I'm going to shoot it with this. I'm going to do this and that. Well, if it's not immediate, and you can never guarantee that, and we just don't know. There's a place in science and spirituality. We don't know. We will never know. And I finally am okay with that.
Yeah.
There was a point in my life where, I had to know everything. And so we don't know. Ultimate answer is we don't know. Yet I question, is there even an ethical way to kill something without releasing cortisol in it and any other neurotoxins that then will end up in the muscle structure that we'll eat?
Yeah.
And then we're eating that cortisol, that stress. What if it has a genetic issue? What if it has some other issue that we don't know about? What if it has free radicals in it that could lead to, if that's a belief that one falls into, that those free radicals could lead to cancer, then are you consuming that in the meat as well?
Yeah.
And all things that I think are plausible and have led me to not consume meat. So.
I see. That makes sense. I mean, you're right. There can't be I don't think there is a humane way to kill anything.
What do you think?
But could you provide that animal with enough quality of life so they're at peace either way? So the energy during that dash, so to speak, right, is so peaceful that the cortisol level is okay regardless because of the quality of their life.
Well, yeah. What's that Japanese beef that's real marbly and real fatty? Kobayashi beef.
Oh yeah.
Because that's how they treat their animals like royalty, and they let them wander around, and they give them the best diet, and they massage them, and they increase their fat level and intake.
So they're fat and happy.
Yeah. That's I think the theory behind it. Whether they really are is a whole nother conversation, an unknown perhaps.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if you can ever provide that. And I don't know. Oh, and by the way, this is the
Tree Your Mind podcast.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's what I was going to get to is wanting to find out what else is on your mind today. But before I do, I just want to remind you guys that you are listening to the Tree Your Mind podcast with myself, Matt Trader, and Wayne Smith. So, Wayne, what is on your mind today? Now that I've kind of intercepted your thought process with
milk and dairy, hot topic of Facebook this morning amongst our elder peers.
Well, it's not just our elder peers.
Is it everybody?
There was multiple comments.
Okay.
On it. Yeah, there was multiple comments on it, and I was like, man, this is perfect because of your knowledge and
or my
topic,
curiosity,
of your curiosity
of
of the topic.
I don't
That's
know
right.
about my knowledge.
I don't think any of us. I don't think either one of us are that knowledgeable. We're just very curious people.
Yeah.
And
I like
my
you ask a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions. We come out.
My favorite 3 words outside of "I love you" is "I don't know." I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. And so to that point, question I want to ask you.
Okay.
What's on my mind?
All right.
Is what are we doing this for?
What are we doing this for?
What are we doing this for? This podcast.
If I had to put a word on it, I'd say therapy.
Therapy.
I think therapy.
Tell me about that.
To me, it's like we talked about last week a little bit. Kind of clearing our minds, and this is a great way to do that. I think people don't really understand the true essence of the word therapy sometimes. I think they think of therapy as I'm going to go sit in a room on a leather couch and talk about, but therapy is just conversation, and I don't think therapy that I'm referring to is just for you or I, but I think it's for, the listeners as well. I think that, us being able to have a conversation, I think there's a lot of other people, like we mentioned last week, that can resonate with the conversation. And, if they can find therapy in this and we can find therapy in this, then I think it works. And I also think another word I'd use is perspective. I think in the world we live in today, it's very much a conflict between black and white. And I think both of us feel like there's this massive gray area sitting there.
50 Shades.
There's 50
I'm messing.
No, I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so, I think there's this massive gray area that's sitting there. And, I really believe that, us wanting to use the words, I don't know more, because we are curious, opens up that gray area. And hopefully, our conversations and our curiosity will allow more people into that gray area, because if we can move towards the gray area, then I think we could essentially change society for the better, but people need to open their mind to it. And it's not just the left. It's not just the right. I'm not trying to make this political. I'm not. Yeah. But I think therapy and perspective are 2, big components to why I think we're doing this and why I want to do it. So I don't know what, your thoughts are. And I really just want to talk to my good buddy Wayne.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how
Well, we have some fun conversations that go down some deep rabbit holes and will last hours sometimes. And there are moments where one of us is like, man, we should have had that on tape.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This is a little more awkward doing it like this.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I feel like it's like.
It's not over the,
Yeah. It's like as organic as it is, it's still like, okay, the cameras are on. What are we going to talk about today? But either way, I think people should be involved in these conversations, because I think, there is some things that we can offer as far as therapy and perspective goes. What are we doing this for? You tell us what we're doing this for. Well,
I love the idea of therapy. And when you threw that word out, it resonated, and I didn't think that you meant it in the traditional sense either.
Yeah.
It's therapy for us. It's therapy for other people listening to 2 normal guys that have been through some trials and tribulations, sitting here talking about life from different angles and perspectives, and inviting other people into the conversation. And there was one word that stuck out to me when you asked me this the other day, or whenever it was, and that was impact, and just to have an impact.
Yeah.
Just to share an anecdote, a story, get somebody laughing or thinking or curious, and question everything. We do that, and so why not do it in a place where other people could maybe resonate or find some comfort or solace, or get a new perspective themselves, or an idea. Even if it's just to open somebody's mind to question everything.
Yeah.
You stay curious, my friend.
That's what I tell my kids, man. That's what, I think that's it's just important. It's important,
Well, let's go down that. Yeah. What's important about that to you?
As far as to my kids?
Question everything and sharing that perspective with your kids.
I think, I don't know that I'd say it's just important or I just do it. And I don't know, sometimes it might be to my own detriment, sometimes I may be too skeptical, you know what I mean? Sometimes I overthink things too much. But for my kids, I think it's very important for them to grow up in that world. I think programming is a large part of the problems that we have in the world today. And it's not just programming from the television or the government, although they're all
related. TV shows related. Called in the early days.
But programs, like you said, like you were saying last episode. But I think, parents programming too. And don't get me wrong, I think that, you should want to try and teach your kids, good values if you have them or don't have them. I don't even know what good and bad values are anymore. It's become so convoluted, right? But I think you shouldn't push your program onto your children so much that they can't think for themselves, or they're scared to think for themselves, or they're scared to question, And
you think that happens often?
I do. I think we a lot of times take with us what we were programmed early in life. A lot of people vote based on how their parents vote, what they're told to do, and I think that it doesn't help with the understanding process. If a kid goes to school every day because mommy and daddy told them that a person that looks a certain way isn't good, then they're gonna go to school and automatically look at that person, and already have a predisposed idea of what that person's all about, and it's not. And I think we're missing a lot of perspective, in that because people are scared, not scared, but people were programmed to look at somebody a certain way, and not even so much that, but to think a certain way, And I think that's huge in my opinion, and that's why I think you should question everybody, including your parents, including your programmers, including your sides, including yourself. I don't know. What do you think? What's
So what I heard was from you, and I'm going to reflect this back and agree with you, because I think is that our programming, handed down to us, while it might be good or well-intended, it's narrow focused, and it's only from one series of perspectives. Yeah. And I agree that might not be a good thing, because I think the beauty of life comes from synthesizing ideas and perspectives from all over the place. Yeah. Taking this idea and that idea and this idea and that idea and merging them together and forming your own. Yeah. Your own opinion, etc. And in experiencing life and someone who's a massive fan of getting the most out of life, whatever that means to you or for you, if I'm going through life with just one set of lenses on, then I feel like I'm missing opportunity, and I've got a little FOMO, so maybe there's a fear of that. So I question everything to make sure I don't miss something. And like you have mentioned before, we resonate on this level. We share this in common. We can tend to have the ability to end up in a place of analysis paralysis, where we're so stuck on figuring out the truth, or what's the best way, what's the right way. And it's something I'm working on and going with the gut and the intuition, that we ended up in this analysis paralysis place, just toiling and tormenting ourselves over ideas and iterations and versions of it, right? So back to your question, what do I think? I think that, perspective is programming, and socially, it's fascinating to me. So my degree is in city planning. Yeah. I'm going to tell this story. There's two times that I remember distinctly in class where it was maybe a paradigm shifting moment, or I was just flabbergasted, just amazed. And we're going back to like 2000, 2001. Yeah. And we're watching, I think one was in a sociology class and the other was a open spaces, like public spaces planning class, a 300 or 400 level planning class, where we're studying pavilions and parks and breezeways between, tall office structures in like a downtown metropolitan area. And the sociology class, we were studying human behavior in these settings, in public spaces. And there was these professors and adjunct or understudies, maybe masters or doctoral students, that put on this study, and they would go into elevators. And instead of facing the door, they would face a different direction. And the study, just to summarize what I remember, is that when they faced the door, everybody faced the door. Whatever direction they faced, typically, as long as they were the first person on the elevator, not the second, third, fifth, or last, but if they're the last person to get on, everybody wondered what they were doing. And, is this person crazy? They're staring at the back of the elevator. If they were the first person on the elevator and they were facing the back or the side, often other people, as they got on the elevator, would start to turn. And the more people that did it, the more people that got on the elevator would turn.
Yeah.
Very interesting how what I took away from that is that there's safety in congregations, safety in conformity.
Yeah.
Oddball out. You don't want to be the black sheep. We've heard these cliches before. The other instance was all of these, it was from afar. It was a bird's eye view from like a surveillance or CCTV, a camera of people interacting, or just this outdoor plaza with some park benches. It was multi-tiered, very geometric. Frank Lloyd Wright meets, modern downtown. It might have been in Chicago, I want to say. And two people conversing, or people were doing their own thing. And what we noticed, what was pointed out to me, and I remember the takeaway is that whenever there was good energy in a space, there was more people. That meant there was little pocket spaces for people to hang out. And when people gathered, if there was good synergy, you'd see them hang out more. If there was bad energy, or they were in a hurry or doing their own thing, they would they'd pass. When they were together now, this is what I remember most. When they were together, their body language started to sync up when there was good energy, when the space was good. And so by the end of a conversation, you might have 6 or 7 business folks all standing there with their hands in their pockets, or with arms crossed, or like this, which might be an odd stance, or just normal for 6 people, 7 people to all be doing the same thing, nodding their heads at the same time. It was fascinating. It just, to bring it fast forward to now and the programming, it's, I think, part of the human condition. Is we want to be like, people like themselves. We want to be liked. Not everybody wants to be liked. Generally speaking, we want to be liked, and you want to be part of a group. It feels better to be a part of a group, whether it's a family group or an organization or whatever, a work group. And so, our brains kind of are geared towards that. And then is it taken advantage of? And then that knowing, those sociological studies taken into a corporate environment for maximizing profit, or even social media now, for maximizing clicks and views. They noticed years ago that Facebook did that, the engagement went up when the emotion went up. The easiest emotion to tap into was anger. So they promoted, the algorithm started promoting more and more engaging.
Do you think the emoji has caused more depression in the world? I had this theory a few years back that the reason that depression has gone up is because we don't express our emotions anymore. We've replaced laughter with, the crying emoji, or we've, caring with the heart emoji. We've all these things that we typically would release, all this dopamine and all this, all these endorphins that we would typically get off of the release of these emotions are now, constipated because we've stored them all up. And is that essentially leading to a rise in depression? What do you think about that?
I think that's one slice of the pie. Others could be like diet or social factors. I think, words are only about 8% of communication. Everything else is tonality, body language, inflection, pace, and of the language. And so I tell friends, I've been telling more friends this year lately, because so in text message, if I send you a text, you read it in your head. You might read it in my voice in your head. And yet you don't know which words I pause on, I inflect up or down. And so you might read it a certain way. And yet another person might read it a different way. And all the while I intended it this way. And so it's left up to the interpreter, the reader, which could be subject to your emotions that day. You're in an angry space. You might read that like, Wayne's really direct and kind of a jerk today. Whereas if you really knew me, like, Wayne's just very, matter of fact.
That's why every time I get into a Facebook conversation and people Sometimes, I mean, they can roast me, and I make some pretty bold statements sometimes. Although, if you read the entire thing, although I'm long-winded, so I probably wouldn't make it to the bottom of a lot of my posts either if I was a reader. But if you make it through, I think you'd find some things you agree with more than probably don't agree with. But a lot of times, I will get roasted on there, and my first instinct, I think, like most people, is like, I'm gonna come back, and then I'm like, wait a minute, like if I was having this conversation with such and such, and like, hypothetically, you and I have a conversation like, you're an asshole, Matt. You know what I mean? The context is a lot different than I'm reading this like, Matt Trader, you're such an asshole. You're an asshole. You know what I mean? So and I think this gets to a whole other conversation is like, I think we have put more emphasis today on words than context. And I think it's because we live in a world where we're reading things more than we're speaking things. You know what I mean? We're living in a text message world, a social media world, and context and words are two completely different things. It's just like goddamn, right? So I'm not, obviously, encouraging blasphemy or anything.
Yeah,
but if I say, God damn it, Wayne, that's completely different than if I say, God damn it, Wade, this is awesome. You know what I mean? And if I was God up there and, and I heard somebody say, God damn in a positive way, I'd be like, that's right, little buddy. You go get him.
The posture of the heart.
Like you can, like the F word. I mean, everybody, condemns the word fuck. But if you watch Glenn Ross and you hear the way that Al Pacino says the F word, and his role was Ricky Roma, it's a fucking beautiful thing, brother. I mean, he's like the William Shakespeare of the F word.
Well, where did cuss words come from? Who decided these specific words are off limits?
Exactly.
And should not be said.
Yeah.
It's all a matter of opinion.
And why is the word fuck worse than the word shit? Shit is a lot nastier than the word fuck. Fuck is like, just knowing what they mean. Like, I mean, I'd much rather be fucking than shitting. Right? I don't know though. I don't know. Then depends, because sometimes I've had some really good shits, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
They're both a really nice release.
Yeah, we're both very nice. Yeah, depending. Yeah.
No pun intended.
Depends. Yeah. But either way, but and you mentioned something in what you said, and you were talking about how the programming has allowed people to be manipulated and taken advantage of because of engagement, because of
this is all what we agreed on as a society.
Yeah.
We all said, yep, that's right. Fuck is worse than shit.
Yeah.
And that's worse than turd.
Yeah.
You know? To get back to your gray space, having conversations in the gray space, might be able to come to an understanding as a society that we can change that. Yeah. We don't have to agree on that. We don't have to be programmed, or maybe the programming looks different.
But we have to get more into context and words, and I think sometimes when you focus too much on the words, it gives the words too much power, And if we could really we could really remove the power from the words if we didn't give so much credence to them. And I'm not saying words don't matter, because they do, but I think it's the way you say it. And we live in a society that, we are very manipulated, because they will take excerpts from certain things you say. The media is referring to clip it. And then you're missing the context because you're only hearing, you're hearing one part of the thought, and you're not hearing the 3 minutes before and the 3 minutes after. And in a society today that is, I'm not going to say everybody's lazy, but not everybody's searching for the truth. Not everybody is searching for, like we talked about last week, their truth. And if that clip falls in line with their truth, they're not going to search before or after. They're going to get on, then they're going to get on, and they're going to say, I'm going to share that, and that everybody starts believing that the words were the total context of what you said or I said or government said or whoever said. And then that becomes, unfortunately, the reality by status quo. So another thing I was gonna ask you, and so it's very easy, obviously, we feel like, to manipulate the public based on what I'm saying right now, especially in today's world. Do you feel like guys like you and I, who are always questioning things, do you feel like we're easy to manipulate because we're always questioning, and because I think we're always looking for the angle, or we're looking for the deeper meaning? So are there influencers out there who are taking advantage, of guys, not just us, but I think a lot of people out there, to want to go down these rabbit holes, and they know how to tease you to get to the next day of their, their programming. And you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think that we're, we could be manipulated?
I think possibly, yeah. And I'm not naive to say that I'm not manipulatable.
Yeah.
And I think backing up and taking a 30,000, 60,000 foot view might help thwart that.
Yeah.
And keep that from happening. A healthy level of skepticism, questioning everything like we do. Yeah, we could certainly fall down or in an echo chamber or a pattern of, that makes sense, or we want to believe that.
Yeah.
And so we keep looking for answers down that road. Most recent example for me might be, this whole silver thing. And watching that. As someone who, I don't consume a lot of news, when I do go check in on it, I like to check in on all sides, far left, middle, nominal right, far right.
Yep.
And the most recent example I can think of where I got completely different opinions and news media coverage on the legacy news or the mainstream news media on TV. You go to No King's Rally. So MSNBC, CNN, I'm seeing nothing but packed streets everywhere. This is the biggest rally protest in a long time.
Yeah.
You switch over to Fox or what's the other one, Newsmax or one of those. It's a little more conservative or far right, depending on your perspective there. And it was empty streets.
Yeah.
Nobody was there. Everybody was paid to be there for just 90 minutes or 3 hours or whatever the story was. And so I remember this business law professor back in college, and he said, look, there's at least a minimum of 3 sides to every story.
Yeah.
That's person A, person B, and the truth lies somewhere in between. And you always know when you hit the truth because both parties are pissed off. And and so I keep that nugget, his that little piece from that class in my pocket. And the short answer is yes. Everybody's manipulatable. We want to relate. We want to seek truth. We want to know the answer. We want to be part of something, whether on a small level or a big scale. And there's outliers everywhere. So maybe there are people out there that have never been conformist or manipulatable or duped or doped, whatever you want to call it, into believing something like this. I'll give it that. I don't know. Yeah. Right? I don't know. You don't know. But
you just got to keep questioning.
Yeah. Like I think I was telling you the other day, maybe it wasn't you, that I have lately this image in my head. I'm visual, you're visual. Maybe some other listeners or viewers out there are visual too.
Yeah.
And so with anything like that or the silver thing, the Venezuelan, just all these things in the news here lately, I think of the Dos Equis guy from the TV commercial and Cheers and instead of, what he says is stay curious.
Stay curious. That's it.
And so stay curious. And that's, I think that in and of itself, here lately, and just kind of unpacking some deeper personal thoughts. Curiosity has turned into maybe fascination for me, which has brought me so much more joy to my life than I already had or had recently, and to a level that I didn't realize was possible. It was just unconscious. I didn't know that I didn't know that, and now I think I see it in you and other people, though, that level of curiosity keeps life fun, interesting, anything, even if we don't know, like, what's going on there? What do you think the story is there? What's the cover up? What's the back end? And how did that happen? And what do people think about that? You and I like people enough and are curious about so many different things that we start asking people, what do you think about that? I don't know. How do you see it?
As far as curiosity goes?
Or us being, yes, and more specifically, turning that question back to you, how do you feel about us or guys like us, people like us that do question everything? Do you think that we are programmable or that there is a level of discernment that we don't have and can still be caught up in these I don't know, propaganda or stories or conspiracies or thought trains?
I mean, yes, I do. And to call myself out, I'm like you, where I think I could have been more Let me answer this the best way possible. So, yes, I do in a way, because I think naturally we're always looking for the meaning behind things, the reason behind things. So naturally, when we see something on the surface, we're like, all right, what's the angle here? What's beneath this, right? But I also don't think we are, because I will question the questioner, and I'll question myself. And again, that leads to a lot of, paralysis by analysis, a lot of overthinking. But I do spend a lot of time questioning, like I'll sit there and we can get into a full, on discussion. And you may think, well, Trader really thinks this is a conspiracy theory. And then all of a sudden it's like, but, I don't know, maybe, because I'm so curious that I will question myself. Well, just like
a recent one where you changed,
just like the milk thing.
Okay.
As we were sitting here talking about the milk, and then I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about the milk. Maybe we're being programmed, to drink the milk, because now the milk lobbyists are coming back and trying to take, back from the, just
almond growers.
Yeah. So yes, all the time. I mean, this is all the time. I don't, and that's why.
Well, that's what I love about you. That is one thing I love about you, and often I seek out your opinion.
That's why I don't like. I love expressing my opinion, and I think everybody should. I really do, and it gets on my nerves that I think people. It gets on my nerves that people get upset when people are expressing their opinion all the time, and most of the time that's because they get upset with the people they don't agree with. And I'm like, no, I don't care.
I mean, people just, in my opinion, people just need to understand their opinions are like elbows and assholes. Everybody's got them. Nobody needs any more of them, and some of them stink.
That's right, yeah. And my opinion is like, I don't care if I agree with you or not. That's your right. You know what I mean? And then people get mad at athletes. Well, they should be playing sports. I'm like, no, you don't want them talking because they have a bigger platform than you. And you know that they could sway the masses against what you do or don't like. It's free speech is cool until the free speech, contradicts your thought process. That's the problem. So I guess my thing is, and a lot of times, like I said, I put myself out there a lot. Like I have, and I don't know that's always good for business. I really don't give a shit. You don't like what I got to say, don't do business with me. But you will never say you didn't know where I was coming from.
Hold on, you told me on the flip side though, just pausing on that thought road, that you've had clients say, "Hey, I only want to work with you because I know you're going to shoot me straight. I know that you're going to be honest." And you're not going to BS me.
Yes, I think.
In short,
I think it does cut both ways. Absolutely, but where I'm going with this is yes, I put myself out there and I do invite conversation. And a lot of times, not a lot of times, but there are times where I get comments back to what I write that don't jive with what I'm saying or that are coming at me really hard. And my first instinct is to like, okay, I want to get, and then I've learned over time, like.
Yeah, what do you do in those instances where somebody comes at you?
Honestly, man, like I always try to put myself in the conversation because I always try to say, like, if we were having a conversation, like, am I going to sit here and be a dick to you? Probably not. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to work this out. You know what I mean? And talk about it. So I always try to take the high road and have, no matter how hard they're coming at me, I always try to, keep myself, basically, I keep things cordial because that's how I would want to be talked to. Another thing is if I'm automatically trying to attack them, then I'm not really trying to understand them. So they may be coming at me and maybe within all of that, violence or what I perceive as violence because I'm reading it and not hearing it. Extra energy that potentially there's something in there that I should be listening to. So I try to pull back a lot. I used to really get caught up in commenting back and forth, on social media, and I would spend way too much time dialoguing with people and corresponding with people. And I always felt this need that, like, I never really felt the need to be right, but I always just wanted to explain. And now I've just taken a step back and I'm like, I'm going to read what you say and maybe we can have a conversation about it. And if we do, we do. And if I don't comment, I really don't care. The whole world can hear your perspective and see how you like to dialogue with people. And if you're okay with how you like to present your comments, then that's, that's on you. Another thing is too, I've also found that some people want to rope you in. Some people want to suck you in. Some people want to bring you down. And no matter if you are 100% right, which I don't even know what right or wrong really is. No matter if you anymore, right? And I think I do, right? No matter if you're 100% right, ultimately you lose sometimes, And so, and a lot of times I think it's more powerful to ignore something, to ignore people, because they're like, why am I attacking this person? And they just won't respond to me. You know what I mean? I think it drives them crazy. Like, I'm trying so hard to bring them down, and this person won't do it. And I've got this theory that the same way we kill hate is the same way we kill love.
Go on.
And it kind of relates to a fire, right?
Okay. How do you kill hate?
Well, you can kill hate. You can kill hate by ignoring it. I don't know if you kill it, or you can kill hate by loving it and by smothering it, right? And the same rules apply to love. Because if you ignore love too much, you could kill love. And if you smother love too much, you could kill love. And all that relates to a fire. You hear that?
Sounds like love music.
It is love music. Speaking of love. But anyhow, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the same way, go back to it, that, you kill, I believe that you kill hate, you also kill love. You ignore something or you smother something, you could kill that hate. If you kill love, ignore, ignore love, you can kill it. And then the fire's the same way. If you ignore fire, a lot of times it will go out. If you fan the fire, if you blow on the fire, right, then the fire is going to grow, right?
Right.
So a lot of times I feel like ignoring and silence is very, very powerful in a lot of ways. And it's like, these are my thoughts. Have at them what you will. It's like setting my price, right? It's like setting your price. It's like, no, my commission's 10% on this or 8% on this. That's what it is. If you don't like it, go find somebody else you want to do business with or dialogue with.
Yeah, it's just business.
It's just business. And I don't like that all the time either. Because a lot of times it's like,
more than business.
It's like, come
We
on,
know
man.
that.
You can people hide behind the term it's just business all the time. It's like, we've been boys for, not you, but I'm just saying, like, you've been boys with somebody for 30 years and then they fuck you over and it's like, well, dude, it's just business. It's like, nah, bro. Nah, come on, man. Like, okay, well, then Yeah.
Well, back to your comments.
Sorry about that.
No, I think it's accurate and relevant, and I think you hit some good points there. That wherever you give energy or wherever you give your attention, it's going to grow. So if you're giving your attention to the nasty comments or somebody that's high energy in the comment section or on a video or whatever post it may be, it's kind of like feeding the trolls.
Yeah.
Or another term I hear are they're energy vampires.
Yeah.
And maybe they're lacking energy or not in a good place in their life right now. And so the outlet is you. They're going to nitpick your opinion instead of understanding. And that's okay. They don't know any different.
Yeah.
And so, maybe it's best to just leave that space for them to figure it out on their own, right? And not to sound petty, yet your time is probably better spent with your family.
Exactly.
On your life and doing things than trying to prove a point to somebody.
1,000%. That's exactly.
Our answers tend to come from within.
Yeah.
We rarely adopt an idea that's been forced on us.
Yeah.
How many ideas have you picked up and grabbed a hold of and said, these are my ideas, when somebody said, hey, you know what? That's absolute. Or you got to believe that. It's this way. If somebody tells me it's this way, I'm like, oh, really? Why?
Yeah.
How come? What makes it that way? Could it not be this way?
Yeah.
Or what about this way? Or how about this way?
Yeah.
Have you tried that way? No? Well, then how do we know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so,
it's like math, right? Like the kid can get the answer, but he's not doing it by the steps they want him to take.
Right.
But he got the answer.
You got the answer. And like, so back to parenting from last episode or even earlier in this conversation, like I know that my parents have done a great job.
Yeah.
I'm biased. No, I mean, they screwed up some. And that's not me condemning them. It's just they did the best that they could with the tools that they were given from their parents, their grandparents, and society at the time that they were raised. My mom was born into this world in the 50s and brought up in this world. It was different than when I was in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And knowing that, I'm doing the best job I can as a father, yet I know inevitably I'm going to screw up.
Yeah.
Somebody along the way, or my daughter at 35 or 50 years old is going to say, Dad, this terrible thing you did, or this has traumatized me, or whatever. I made peace with that a little while ago. And perhaps that never comes up.
Yeah.
Yet I've made peace with the fact that it could, right?
Yeah.
Just like everybody else. And in coaching, I hear stories about parenting or people's upbringing all the time and how that affects them to this
that
day
inner child
at
everybody
40 or
talks
50.
about, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
inner child that was pushed down or didn't have a voice or that was bullied or picked on or whatever the case may be. We carry that into our adulthood. That's, because I said so was the worst answer to give to me as a kid. My favorite word was why. And so I don't know, my daughter's 6 going on 7. So 3 or 4 years ago, after she asked a why question or kept asking a bunch of questions. And one day, and that's the last time I remember saying it, I said, because I said so, because Dad said so. And I caught myself right in that moment and swallowed what felt like a really big lump, a jagged pill, like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I've turned into my parents.
We all do at some point.
Right.
To a degree.
Yeah, that was a tough day, realization. And, the back end of that is it happens.
I'm always sitting there sometimes. I'm
It's
like,
life.
damn it, son, you're embarrassing me and your mother.
Life.
It sounds like my dad. I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. But I tell you another thing, though, to go back to also another reason why I really try not to come too hard at somebody is like, I don't want to ruin a relationship with either somebody I know or somebody I don't know over some dumbass like Facebook post. Because a lot of these people, like, I might potentially be friends with. A lot of the people that I grew up with, and you might attest to this too, like were people that like I got in fights with as a kid, and now we're like best friends like today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, why am I like, why am I going to get in some petty argument because like you have a different worldview than me? Like, I don't care. Like, I actually love it. Like, so I don't want to, I'm not going to sit there and I really just don't care.
I think variety is the spice of life.
I hate to say that. I really just don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I have a friend that tells me all the time.
I just don't care. Like,
I love it. I love it.
I laugh at it sometimes. But
what would it look like if we all, myself included, if we all got to a point of, a healthy point of we don't care. You got your opinions and they're valid, right? They have worth. They have worth to you, to other people in this world. They don't matter to me.
Yeah.
And I say that with, tongue in cheek, with a grain of salt, because I have this one friend and he'll say to me all the time, Joel, and he'll say, when we're shooting opinions across and perhaps he thinks I've adopted an opinion or something like that from somebody else. And he'll, in a healthy, kind way, remind me, Wayne, what anybody thinks of you is none of your business.
It's right.
It's none of your business.
You're exactly right.
And I love him and thank him for that, amongst any other things. Whatever anybody thinks of you, Matt, it's none of your business.
That's the best advice ever. And it's funny because my wife and I,
it's their business.
We talk about this all the time. Like, there's been, and I'm sure you've had this same situation happen. You get ready to get off the phone with somebody, and they don't hang up, and the phone's on. And there's been a couple times where I know that there's been other people around, and like the conversation, they're about to talk about me, right? And I just, instead, like some people I think's natural instinct would be like, oh, I want to hear what these motherfuckers got to say. You know what I mean? My thing is I hang up.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Because that's their business. And also, I don't want to change my relationship with somebody off of something that isn't my business.
Or an opinion of them because they're in a setting where they feel like they have to talk about you a certain way, and that's
and who cares?
They're conforming.
Who cares?
Right.
And everybody's guilty of it. I hate gossiping, but everybody's guilty of it to a degree. Sometimes it's out of love, sometimes it's out of hate, and sometimes maybe it's a little bit of both.
Curious, emotional beings that social with that.
What's Eddie Vedder say? These people here love you. These people here hate you. And these people here love you so much they want to kill you, right? I mean, it's, But anyhow, speaking of that, I think maybe it's better that we go back to peace. And speaking of peace, maybe it's time for a little meditation with Wayne as we wrap this episode up, because I don't want to, get too much more in our pockets, because it sounds like Maurice is trying to hit us with the pro rata share, right? So, guys, if you didn't follow us on the last episode, every episode that we do this, at the end, after the credits roll, Wayne is going to lead us in some meditation. If you guys want to stick around, I'm going to tell you, I think you'll find a lot in it. Wherever if you're in the car, house, wherever it is, just sit back. Well, don't be driving while you're doing it, right? All right, but either way, Wayne is always going to try to lead us in meditation at the end of every episode after the credits. And speaking of credits, guys, you are on the Tree Your Mind podcast, and we always want to remind you to tree your mind, and the rest will follow. Wayne, take us away in some meditation.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And don't forget to like, subscribe.
Oh,
all that good stuff.
like and subscribe.
And so if you're driving and you'd like to participate here, go ahead and pull over, pause, and pull over, and hit play when you're ready to breathe with us. The intention here is just to spend some time breathing and relaxing together. May develop or expand on these as time goes on and episodes grow. Right now, just go ahead and get comfortable, feet flat on the ground. If you're not seated, go ahead and get in a seated position somewhere you can relax. And if you're in a car, pull over. If you can't pull over, keep your eyes open and feel free to breathe along with us. So with that being said, get comfortable, feet on the ground, hands in your lap or resting on your legs, palm up or down, whatever's most comfortable for you. Eyes at a nice soft 3/4 gaze or completely closed may benefit you as well. Find a nice relaxed breath on your own that's natural. And following the sound of my voice, we're just going to begin to breathe in together through the nostrils. Holding the breath for a second and then releasing slowly, extending our breath and exhale out longer than our inhale. Repeating when all the air has emptied our lungs. Holding our breath again, real short, before release. Watching our breath go out and emptying our lungs into the world and all the stress, tension, any anxiety, negative energy with it. Repeating with an inhalation through our nostrils when you're ready. And back out, watching that breath each time you breathe out, feeling the shoulders soften, the face relax. Filling up the lungs to full capacity with this next breath in. Watching it as it comes in, holding, and then back out. At your own pace here, watching that breath come in through your nostrils, filling up your lungs. Holding that breath for just a second as you exhale, watching it empty the lungs, emptying out any stress and tension from the body that may be lingering around, maybe unserving for you and your duties today. Repeating when you're ready, back in. And on your own for a few more breaths here, enjoying this quiet, empty space, watching that breath come in, filling the lungs with all of the good that's out there in the world, and back out when you're ready. Whenever you're ready, slowly start to bring your attention back to the body. Maybe bring the tongue to the roof of your mouth or wiggling your fingers or toes before opening your eyes. Continuing that soft, relaxed breath with an extended exhale for as long as you see fit and it feels right. Thank you for breathing with me. And thank yourself for taking the time to do so as well.
One question. Why do you say to put your tongue at the roof of your mouth?
It was taught to me.
Okay.
How it might help me is just reintroducing movement to the body, especially after a long meditation. It's a gentle way to wake the body up without losing any, if you believe in mudras and hand positions, and this is a study I'm currently involved in, keeping that energy moving and flowing. On a personal note, my mouth gets a little dry, so it feels good.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this has felt good. It's felt good today. So thanks
Love
for
you, brother.
Love you too, man. Thanks for meditation. See you guys.